All right, time to say hello and welcome to Sarita to the happiness podcast called Lyckopodden.
Wonderful. So happy to be with you here.
Oh, lovely. I'm so happy to have you. You look gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you asked in the email before, like, what color should I wear? Because usually I'm like, oh, right, color. Yeah, well, in Sweden, we don't care about what color we wear. We just wear whatever we want. But here in Bali, it's really a thing that you usually dress up together in the same color. And I love that.
Yeah, it does make a big difference, I find.
It
I'm
does.
into color healing, so I happen to know what each color means, how it affects us
Wow.
psychologically, physically. So that's why I always think about color.
Beautiful. All right, well, tell me more. Because I was like, because I had a few days. I'm like, yeah, color. Of course, we should have a color. And I was thinking about red or white, and I ended up in white. So, as our beautiful YouTube listeners can see, we are dressed up in white. Yes, look how we look. Two angels. But please tell me about the color white. What does it mean?
To have the color white, it's all the colors of the rainbow coming together that creates white light. So it means we open to all the colors.
Okay.
We're not differentiating and choosing one or the other. We're saying yes to the full rainbow of who we are.
Oh, beautiful. All right. So that's what we're doing here, saying yes to all the colors and the beauty. Lovely. And what does red mean? Because I was choosing between red.
Red is our vital life force energy.
Ooh.
And if we emphasize red too much, it can also become anger.
Ah.
Yeah.
Cool.
If it's overdone. But basically it means our instinctual energy, our life force energy.
Okay, cool. And the other ones, now I'm so curious. The yellow and the green and blue?
Well, orange is very aligned with this particular podcast because it means joy.
Oh, wow.
And
orange.
it's also very much aligned with the heart.
With the heart.
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
it's the color of joy.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
And yellow is the color of intelligence. And it's also a color which resonates with our lymphatic system.
Okay, cool. Wow.
And green is the color of nature. It's aligned with the feminine principle, just as red is aligned with the masculine principle.
All right.
The color pink is love.
Oh,
Yeah.
love.
The color turquoise is the deep subconscious. And light turquoise also aligns to our soul.
Okay.
And then the color indigo blue is peace. But if it's emphasized too much, it can become sadness.
Okay.
So blue in moderation is very, very good. It will bring peace.
Peace.
Like if somebody can't sleep, they can get a blue light just next to their bed and keep that on, and then they will become sleepy, peaceful, and have a restful sleep.
Beautiful. Thank you.
If somebody feels depressed, they can put orange curtain and see the sunlight coming through the orange curtain. It will bring joy.
Wow.
So things like that. You can do your own self-therapy by how you dress, what you surround yourself with, colors you use.
Wow.
And
so important.
The violet color is very interesting. It means emotional release. And when the emotions are released, it opens us to our spiritual potential.
Wow.
So it's a very powerful color.
Yeah. Very powerful. So cool. And also that we can help it, like ourselves and also each other by just choosing the right colors that we need.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. That was the first little lesson here, color lesson from you. Thank you.
And black, because a lot of people choose black when they're in cities. There's a reason for that. Because black is protective. It's giving a message, stay away from me. Like I'm protected.
Okay.
I'm protecting myself against all the influences or inputs that are around. So this is why people are naturally drawn to it in cities, because there's too much overload, sensorial overload, So they feel the need for protection. That's why they're wearing black.
Wow, that really makes sense.
Mm.
I can tell my whole wardrobe back home is just black.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like when the summer comes, yeah, I can go a little bit more like white and beige maybe. But during the winter, it's like all black. So it really makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, welcome here to the
Thank
podcast.
you.
I'm so happy to have you. Feels so good to have. I feel this like warm, motherly energy bubbling around here. This calmness and beauty in a way, and also yeah, experienced old woman in front of me here, which feels so cool. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have found your purpose in life?
Yes,
Yeah?
I have found.
Yeah? Tell me, what is it?
You know, when I was very young, I wanted to find the essence of life. I was on a search, on a mission to find that. And for that reason, I hitchhiked all the way through North America. I was born in California.
California. Cool.
And then I took one flight to England. And from England, I hitchhiked all through Europe and overland to India, looking for the essence of life.
Hitchhike all the way. Yes. The thumbs up. Like this.
With this, I made it to India.
Oh my God. This is
Just
done
this.
a lot for you. The thumb. Beautiful.
And
all right.
once I was in India, I met Goenka and I got into Vipassana meditation.
Oh, wow. I really want to do
and
that.
I did a 10-day Vipassana retreat in Bodh Gaya, India, the place where Buddha got enlightened. And then from there, I went to Mumbai to do a month-long silent retreat. The night before that silent retreat, I met Osho.
Oh, you met Osho.
I met Osho. And that blew my mind completely. So after the month-long retreat of Vipassana, then I went to Osho's meditation camp, which was being held in a place called Mount Abu in India.
Wow.
And I got initiated into his neo-sannyas. He gave me the name Ma Ananda Sarita.
Yeah.
Ma means mother of the universe. Ananda is bliss. And Sarita means river of bliss.
Wow.
And from that moment, I stayed in his community for 26 years, imbibing the essence of life, the essence of Tantra, meditation, holistic healing.
Wow.
And after that, I started sharing, teaching, etc. So when I reached to him, I was only 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
I left my hometown when I was 15. That's when I started hitchhiking.
So young. Oh my God.
Very thirsty seeker.
Very thirsty for sure.
Yeah.
Felt also a fire in you that was searching.
Yeah, strong passion to find what I was looking for.
Okay. Wow. So that in a way made you come closer to your purpose. Yeah. And what's your purpose today?
Today, actually, I'm living my purpose. So I'm bringing bliss, I would say, awakening bliss in thousands of people around the world. And I do that through a series of groups called the Soulmate Training for Couples. So it's a series of 7 levels. Also through the Goddess Essence training. So that's working with women. And then I have the Tantra teacher training. That's working with individuals, men and women, teaching them how to teach Tantra. I have a group called Master Lover. And also a group called the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, where I work with the 112 sutras from a very ancient scripture called Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. And I teach people how to practice those methods.
Wow.
So I'm working with a wide range of different possibilities for people to experience Tantra. Also a group called Tantra Transformation, where people awaken their innate potential to understand inner ecstasy, to experience inner ecstasy, and also to clear any stagnation that might be in their system from when they were growing up, like what could have been inhibiting them as they were growing up from living their full potential.
Wow. Yeah.
And I believe that the potential of every human being is bliss. There's a wonderful author named Candace Burt. She's actually a scientist, and she studied the connection between mind, body, and emotions. She studied that in the laboratory for years. She wrote a book called The Molecules of Emotion. And in that, she makes a statement, which I think is a very, very powerful statement. She says, human beings are hardwired for bliss.
Hardwired for bliss.
It means if we are living our bliss, we're living according to our original template.
Original template.
If we're not living our bliss, it means something is going wrong, either with our body, mind, or emotional system. And I also remember somebody asked Osho once, how do I know if I'm on the right path? And his answer was quite simple and astonishing. He said, if you are blissful, you're on the right path. If you're miserable, you're on the wrong path.
Easy.
As simple as that. Very simple criteria.
Very simple.
And it's true.
It's true.
Literally true. Yeah.
It is, for sure. And I think that's a good reminder to the listeners as well, just to reflect a little bit, like, am I on the right path? And then ask yourself those questions, like, do I feel bliss, or am I like more miserable? Then you actually have the answer yourself.
Yeah. Wow. And I think, as we continue on our life path, there's always new creative opportunities opening up. So I do have a further dream. I would like to create community where people can live the principles of Tantra, meditation, holistic health, wellness, eating healthy, having a healthy environment around themselves, and understanding how to work with our emotions in a very conscious way, like conscious communication, conscious emotional fluidity, working with their vital energy, kundalini energy, chakra system, and basically learning how to live a life of bliss.
Beautiful. Yeah. So create a own little village somewhere, maybe.
Eco-village somewhere.
Yeah, maybe on Bali. Or...
Yeah. I envision that as a model which can be replicated in different places in the world.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. Wow. So beautiful. Beautiful to hear, yeah. It's also inspiring to talk to people that actually find their purpose in a way. Because, I mean, it can be hard to find it in this society when you're like growing up and are put in this little box where you're supposed to work on this, or if you have an education in this, then you have to work with that your whole life, and sometimes it's just interesting to me to talk to people that actually found their purpose.
I think for a lot of people, they need to go through a process of unlearning what they've learned and reframe their life according to their true soul calling. I was reading a very interesting book one time. It was on pendulum. And in that book, they were talking about how to find what you're meant to be doing in terms of profession, because many people are confused. So they suggest just remember how you used to play when you were a child. What were you, what were you naturally drawn to in terms of your play? And that's, in a sense, revealing your true soul calling. It's very interesting. And if you think back and remember, okay, I used to build a lot of things out of Lego. Somebody else says, oh, I was always with my dolls, cuddling them, dressing them, feeding them. Somebody else said, oh, I was opening a shop and selling things to people. That was how I was playing. And somebody else, yes, I was always out in the field, running, jumping, doing sports. So if you just remember back, it says something about your true soul calling. And then if you apply that to what kind of profession could that be, and you simply move in that direction, you'll be on the right track.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to think about it and to start there, to think back to the natural child.
Yeah, what was naturally occurring when you were a child.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So much insights like already. Wow. So, Sarita, you're the founder of the Tantra Essence.
Yeah,
right?
Tantra Essence.
Yes. And that's also so inspiring that you've been, or everything you're doing with that. And I was calling to talk to you. I have a friend that has been to your soulmate training retreat, and they suggested, like, oh, you should talk to Sarita. I was like, yeah, sure. So the question is, what is love?
Yeah. And
It's a little
so
bit
I'd like to
closer.
just speak into how people get confused about love. The reason is because when we are growing up, we are dependent on our parents or our caregivers in order to survive. And part of that survival, we need love.
Yeah.
Young people literally need love in order to survive.
Yes.
There was a very cruel experiment done at one time in an orphanage where half of the babies were cuddled and given love as well as nourishment. Half of the babies were not cuddled, not given love, only given nourishment to survive. And then they watched what happened. So the 50% that received cuddling and love, they thrived. They were healthy. Their minds developed well. The ones who didn't receive cuddling and love, they literally couldn't have a good brain development. So they became like, you could say, underdeveloped brain capacity. And many times they would literally get very ill, and some of them died from lack of love.
And crazy.
They were getting the nourishment, physical food nourishment, but not love, and they died from that.
That's insane.
So this is very important to understand, that we have such a deep need for love as we are growing up. We also have a belief that that love is coming from the caregivers or from the parents. We don't realize that love is everywhere because we have this neediness within us for survival. And then for some people, they're not receiving enough love. And there's a tendency in the child between 0 to 7 to believe that everything revolves around themselves because people are caring for them. So naturally, they think I'm the center of the universe. And if they're not getting enough love, they have a tendency to believe this is my fault.
Yeah.
I did something wrong. That's why it's not coming to me.
Yeah.
Likewise, if there's a divorce at that time, they think, oh, it's my fault why the parents divorced.
Yeah.
Or if somebody dies, they think it's my fault that this person died. So this is the mind tendency during that age. So then if they grow up and they think, I didn't get love because I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, that becomes a fixed pattern in the subconscious. And then when they're older, they would like to love and be loved, have a partner, but then deep down that unworthiness pattern is there. So love is coming towards the person, but they actually pushing it away because deep down they feel unworthy. And they will find fault with the other. Oh, they're not giving it in the right way. They could do it like this. They could do it better. And so they have some excuse to push the love away. Millions of people are doing that. In order to cure that syndrome, we have to literally grow up where we realize love is all around. Love is omnipresent in the universe. All I need to do is open up and receive it, allowing yourself to receive love. And it's very helpful to start with nature, like embracing trees, maybe laying in the grass, looking at the clouds, receive love from the sky, receive love from the earth, float in the water, receive love from the water. Maybe you're with a pet, receive love from the pet. So you get used to that it's okay to receive love. And then eventually receive love with another person deeply, fully, and completely. And remember, love is not coming from the other. It's not dependent on the other. Love is omnipresent in the universe. We're living in an ocean of love. So we just need to open and receive. When the fountain is full, it overflows. So once we're full of love, we will overflow with love. It will happen, but without any effort. If you have to make effort to give love, it means your fountain is not yet full. So first fill it, receive, 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 then let it overflow.
Wow. Receive and then let it overflow. Yeah, as you said, we're so dependent on how we've been learning love from our childhood. And I mean, here, like the first step is to be aware of this. I mean, just to know about this. And I feel like that's why it's so important to spread this kind of knowledge, because I don't think everybody knows this.
Yeah, people don't realize, because we hear all around, give love, give love.
Yeah.
But nobody asks, are you full of love in order to give it?
True.
And so people think it's an effort, and they also start bargaining with it. Oh, I gave you 1 bushel of love. Now you give me back 1 bushel, something like that.
Yeah, true.
And that doesn't work. No, giving love should be 0 effort. It happens as a consequence because you're already so full of love. That's how it overflows.
Wow.
And that's how this world can become full of love.
Yeah.
So our actual work that we need to focus on is to simply receive love.
So that's the first step. Receive love.
Receive, just like the child.
Yeah.
Receive love. Maybe it didn't happen enough in your childhood. So this is a work you have to do with yourself. Learn how to receive love.
Wow. So let's say that you have received, you're learning, you're in the learning phase, and you're learning from the nature, you're taking in all the love that the nature has to give to us. And how do you learn that in a relationship, like with another person? Yeah.
But both of you are receiving from the love which is omnipresent in the universe. And then that love keeps growing in the space because you're becoming receptive to love. So more and more love is filling the energy field that you inhabit. And gradually you'll find that that love is overflowing and you're both sharing from that love, but nobody is giving it to the other. The moment you think, now I'm giving you love, it's like you opening the bargaining table. Okay, I gave you that much love. Now you give me back that much love.
Oh my God, I can really
leads to
relate.
Terrible situations in the couple.
Yeah, I can really relate on that. Like with my ex-boyfriend, he was like, "Well, I gave you this, and I gave you this, and I gave you this. You should be thankful and happy." And I'm like, "But I don't understand." In a way, like feels like he was giving so much, but maybe not what I needed. In a way, that's like how it feels. Like he was giving, giving, giving. I was like, why are you giving me this? Like this is not to me. This is, I don't know.
He was probably following his love language.
Exactly.
About the love languages.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own unique love language. And so maybe somebody is overflowing in that way and somebody else in another way.
Wow. Yeah. Love. It's so interesting. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, it is a lot of like misunderstanding when it comes to love. What's the most like common misunderstandings that you usually see?
I think this is the most common misunderstanding, that yes, this person wants to love me, but they're not doing it correctly. But if we dive deeper into what is behind that, we find that they pushing the love away out of a feeling of unworthiness. So it all goes back to that original childhood wound.
Yeah, okay.
Because in a world which is sane, the child will receive enough love, and through that they are understanding what it is to be love. And when they reach adolescence, they will simply start overflowing naturally. It will happen as a consequence. But because people are not receiving enough love, then when they grow up, they become adolescent, they overflow with other things they've received. They've received the imprint of parents fighting or parents bargaining for love and things like that. So they start overflowing with all these patterns. So in order to heal ourselves, we need to unwind false patterns, bring ourselves back to that original essence of love. And in general, there's 3 stages to love. The first stage, love yourself. Learn to truly love yourself. Second stage, learn to truly love another in deepest intimacy. Third stage, learn how to love the whole.
Both of you, like, or a whole in a way of
the whole universe.
a universe.
Yeah, the whole of life. And then there's a fourth step. Become love itself.
Ooh.
And this is the ultimate human potential, becoming love itself.
Wow, becoming love.
Become love.
Okay, so it's a lot about learning here. And how do you learn this? Is it through the nature thing we talked about, or is it
also through the nature thing, through animals, because nature is already love. Animals are already love. So you're imbibing the language of love. And you are then finding out how to allow that deeper and deeper within yourself.
Wow. So nature is like our biggest teacher here in a way.
Especially trees.
Especially trees.
Yeah, trees are very, very big teachers.
But how do you become love yourself?
Because your fountain is so full. It's overflowing naturally and there's no end to it. It's a ever-flowing stream of love. And you've understood that love doesn't come from another. It's coming through the other. And it is actually omnipresent in the universe. Once you've understood that, it becomes easy to become love itself.
Wow, it's so much new information. I have to think about this for a while. I think this has to settle also for me. Yeah, love. It's so beautiful.
And something we do in the soulmate series of groups, we have a very beautiful practice, which I call the opening ritual and the closing ritual. If a couple is going to do a tantric love appointment in their bedroom, so they're going to do a practice that involves a tantric meditation and carry that into their sexual union. Before they start the practice, they bless the union. So they open a sacred container for their practice. And as part of that, they are bowing down to love itself, not bowing down to the persona of the partner. They bow down to love itself, which is flowing through this partner. So this is a very sacred opening to a tantric love appointment. Wow. And it makes a huge difference. Couples report that the very air and atmosphere in the room changes when they do that. Wow. They consecrate the space by bowing down to love.
Bowing down to love?
To love itself.
Because I feel like it's so much, when it comes to love and a relationship, especially a monogamic relationship, that is so much depending on the other one, It's so much, and also like me, also in a relationship, it feels like you have to carry so much for the other one in a way.
When you both bow down to love, it's a blessing for the relationship. And then you feel it's not up to me, it's not up to the other. We're both being blessed by this love, which is omnipresent. Yeah, it's very special. Because if we bow down to the other, it's like we're bowing down to their egoic persona.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
No.
We need to bow down to something which is beyond the ego, beyond the mind, beyond the personality.
Wow. So do we even love the other person, or do we love universe?
We love the universe as expressed through this unique being.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Wow. Because I also saw on your Instagram story, I think it was from a story from your soulmate training retreat, where you talked a lot about projections. In Swedish, that is projiceringar, which I thought was really, really interesting, because I think that's a common pattern or common situation that happens in relationships, like to project on the other one. Can you tell me what is a projection? And what is that?
Projection is a very important subject, and it's something that we all need to understand if we're going into relationship. Because oftentimes we have some issue or situation that happens in our childhood which remains incomplete. Like we never got to express our truth in that situation. So then it becomes a stagnation inside. And if we have many of those, they become like little wounds that we carry. And finally, we think, oh, it's too burdensome, all these wounds. So it's better I just create an armor around myself as a protection that I don't feel the pain of all this wounding. So then people develop and kind of armoring. But then they grow up and then they want to relate with the opposite gender or a lover. And they relating through that protection, which doesn't really help to go into intimacy. And in order to keep that protection, it's heavy to have those kinds of wounds inside. But in order to keep the protection, then they vicariously project out something from that wound on the other one in order to relieve themselves in some way of the pressure that's inside. So they will literally project something on the other one, which has nothing to do with that person. It is the inner wound speaking, but it's speaking as a vicarious expression through that other person.
Do you have some example?
If you say you and there's blame behind it, that's a projection. Every time, for sure. It means you have a wound inside and you want to release the pain of that wound. So you're projecting on the other one. That's why you have a charge behind that blaming statement. Otherwise, it would be a fact and there's no blame, there's no charge around it. The fact that there's a charge means you have something incomplete inside around that subject. And so in the Soulmate series, we teach an exercise called the projection exercise. It comes from psychotherapy. It's a psychotherapy technique. And you basically use Gestalt methodology. So you have different cushions and you sit in different places on those different cushions. And you end up releasing the wound and finding the healing. And then you see your partner in a completely fresh light.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. So it just so happens I've created an online course which is called Emotional Fluidity. And in that, I'm giving 16 different emotional fluidity methods that people can use to work through all kind of issues, whether that is around communication, projections, etc.
All right.
So this online course is right now in the editing process, but it will be coming out, probably within a couple of months. And I did it because in every single group I teach, I see that people need these techniques.
Yeah.
They really, really need projection exercise, pillow beating exercise, and all different kinds of methodologies.
I can tell. Yeah, because that's so interesting about this, because you said it's the wound of that you have that you actually project on someone else. But do we have some kind of example in like a love relationship or all kind of relationship? Could it be like you're late, or like could it be?
It could be in the relationship of two colleagues at work. It could be in a lover relationship. It might be in a family dynamic relationship. Because all relationships, we have a tendency to project. Now, many times people get together based on projection. Like the lover literally reminds them either of their mother or their father. And they're hoping to heal the mother and father dynamic through this relationship. So they're projecting on the partner, like if it's a man, maybe he's projecting his own mother on the woman. Of course, she doesn't like to be put in that box, so she will react. And he's actually hoping that she will become the good mother and heal all those wounds. But then maybe she's not doing that. She's just being herself And then he gets very angry and starts projecting on her and telling her, you're not behaving properly and you should do like this and that. Then she gets very pissed off, like, why are you dumping on me and I didn't do anything? So this kind of dynamic is very common, and it goes the other way too, of course, where the woman projects on the man that he should become the good father, and then he's not doing it, and then she gets very upset. So we're using relationship, trying to heal inner wounding from our childhood. This is extremely common. The good news is we can heal it.
Yeah. How?
Like doing the projection exercise, it takes only about 15-20 minutes for one person to go through. And at the end, you look at your partner in a whole new light because you have freed yourself of that burden you were carrying. You've cleansed it, healed it.
Wow.
And then you see your partner as they are. You take off the blinkers and you really see them fresh. And then so much appreciation, gratitude, love.
Wow.
And in that way, it's very easy to resolve issues.
Would you like to share a little bit how the healing is?
It's, if I can't show it, it's really challenging.
Okay.
Because it involves Gestalt therapy, which means that you lay out cushions in a special way.
Okay.
Then you do role playing. So you are playing yourself, giving those projections. Then you're playing the partner who's receiving the projections. You have to take on their persona and answer back.
Okay, so it's really role play.
It's role play. But it's using cushions. And then you sit on another cushion, which is representing the witness. That means a wise person who's just passing by, who sees these people interacting and has some wise comments to make.
Okay,
An
cool.
impartial observer.
Yeah.
And stepping into that role is very therapeutic for the person going through the process.
Wow.
Because then they come to understand, I actually have a wise observer inside. That's very, very helpful to have that level of detachment.
Yeah.
And then they go to a fourth cushion where they need to own the projection. And that's where the tricky part comes in, because then you have to say the blaming statements, but instead of using you say I. So you're taking back that projection. And you letting it take you like a fishing, I always say it's like a fishing hook. So the person pushes your button, and then that becomes like a fishing rod, and you throw the fishing line into the water of your deep subconscious, and you pull out the big fish. So using the projection and saying you unwind backwards in time to the memory that holds the roots of the projection.
Wow.
You describe the memory, and then you need to say what you couldn't say then. Because the cause of much illness in the world, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, is coming from stagnated events where the person was not able to speak their truth. That becomes bottled up inside. And it becomes a stagnant pattern, and it sits in the subconscious, rotting there and affecting the person from underneath. So we need to say what we couldn't say then, and we need to express the emotions that we couldn't feel then. And for that purpose, we use a cushion. The person can hit the cushion, they can release the emotions, they can cry, scream, say what they couldn't say. And then they go into a healing process.
So are you using examples from the real world? Or for them, like for the couples?
Yeah, real.
So they're using example that they had like issues with?
Yeah, some issue.
Okay.
Yeah. Because even if you're on the honeymoon, there's certain issues that are still bubbling. Oh, my partner is squeezing the tube of toothpaste like that, and I think it should be squeezed in that way. It's small things, but they build up over time.
They build up over time, for sure.
So you're just learning how to release all that, all the charge, come into a space of openness, equanimity, and it's a very special and beautiful method. And I think it should be taught in every school.
For sure.
Because whether we're in a relationship, an intimate relationship, or it's the family dynamic, or it's with colleagues, we have projections running a lot.
A lot.
And we need need to deal with those. We need the tool, how to deal with it. Because people don't know, so they're in suffering. They carry grudges for years. They non-forgiveness of somebody in the family, and sometimes it never gets released to the deathbed. It's a terrible situation. It creates so much unhappiness in people. And then you have some technique like that. In 15 minutes, you can pop through it and come out completely fresh and renewed.
I mean, it's amazing, and more couples should go to this. Like, I'm definitely gonna go do this with my common partner, to go to this or yours or this kind of retreats. And we need it. Like, the world needs it.
The world needs it so badly. This is why I've created all of this, because I think everybody's birthright is to find happiness. Bliss. And if we're not finding it, something is wrong with our education system. We have to completely rewrite the way the education is given.
Exactly. Well, for sure, for sure. How do you see, like, how is love and happiness related to each other in your terms?
Because, as I said before, human beings are hardwired for bliss. And bliss happens very naturally if we're living in a milieu of love, respect, empathy. It happens naturally through empathy, and human beings are naturally empathic. But oftentimes we are led astray. We're led towards competition, which is not really natural for who we are, or we're led into like judging others, creating divisions where actually there's no division. And if we track it, it usually comes back to some political power trips, but it's not part of being just normally human. Humans tend to cooperate. Like, look here in Bali, they're sharing water, they're cooperating between so many different farmers, sharing the water for so many different rice fields. And that's been going on for many, many generations. And it's happening very naturally and very peacefully. So what could be a cause for war in some culture, here, it's a cause for sharing and celebration.
Yeah, and Bali is so mindful with how they do stuff, It feels like I haven't felt as safe, as close to universe, to Mama Bali, as close to other human beings, as close to nature as I do here.
Yeah, because they have a very wise approach to how to deal with human frailties. And how to bridge the gap between humans and nature. Help us come back to our natural empathic humanity.
Exactly.
And that happens so easily by worshiping nature. That's one thing, worshiping trees, worshiping water, worshiping the sun. It's so innocent, so natural. And it does bring us back into a state of oneness.
Yes, it does. Wow. It's so beautiful. Like, when it comes to happiness, what is happiness to you?
Happiness is our natural state.
It's our natural state.
I always say that energy is ecstasy.
Energy is ecstasy.
When energy is flowing, it is ecstasy. If energy is stagnated, that becomes unhappiness. Because we feel stagnated, something's not flowing. Just like you have a stagnant pond, it stinks. It's not nice. It doesn't feel good. So the same thing, if we're stagnated with our emotions, with our physical well-being, if something is stagnated, we don't feel good. Yeah, so energy flow is ecstasy, is happiness.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like our time is running out here. So usually I'm like ending up the podcast with 3 questions that I usually ask all my guests. And the first question is, what makes you really, really, really happy?
what makes me very, very, very happy is when I see people in my groups evolving, growing, expanding their potential, and discovering their bliss and their natural template for bliss. That brings so much joy to me.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know. It's so annoying. And what is like your best happiness advice to the listeners?
If you're not finding happiness for some reason, go on a walk in nature, and that will bring you back. Because sometimes we forget, if we're living in cities, we're doing 9-to-5 job, etc., and we start feeling not our best, and if it drags on too long, we might even get depressed. But just one walk in nature already changes everything.
Yeah.
There's something very beautiful happening in Japan, that doctors prescribe walks in nature.
They do.
To come back to a level of happiness.
Wow.
And they literally have it monitored, so people